All right, what is up, everybody? This is Alex once again with another episode of the EOT News Flash. This is episode 107. The hits just keep on coming. And tonight we're talking about Planeswalkers, and if there's a problem with Planeswalkers. And of course, I have brought in a couple of esteemed colleagues to help me discuss the Walker issue. Not zombies, but Planeswalkers, for all you Walking Dead fans out there. Directly beneath me to the southeastern side of the screen, if you're on the YouTubes, my good buddy Ben is back in the studio. How are you tonight, sir?
I am great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thanks for jumping back in tonight. I haven't seen you guys in a few weeks, so this is like a fun little mini reunion before Friday Night Magic. So this is nice.
It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot hour, more like. I mean, it's been weeks.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
We're all busy adulting.
Yeah. What's that like? What's that like? And then directly across this way to my right, your right on the YouTube as well, my good friend Rocco. How are you tonight, sir?
Hello. How are you guys doing? Doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Pretty good.
Occasionally Rocco will flash cards of magic in front of the camera, I'm sure, throughout the proceedings. So, ignore that. He's indulging his blue side for EDH now.
Yeah.
And both Ben and I are just like, welcome to the club, man. We're all blue players on the inside. We're all blue players on the inside.
You start Magic as an aggro player, and then you quickly realize blue's the best color, and then you just hard switch.
And you find out that there's good blue aggro decks too. So, what are you gonna do? Yep. So, as I mentioned, tonight we're gonna talk about Planeswalkers and just how many of them there are in recent sets here. And this was a great idea that Rocco pitched a couple weeks ago. We're finally getting around to do it, and this whole discussion tonight has been exacerbated to probably the nth degree by the reveal of our very first three M20 Core Set 2020 spoiler cards, which it feels so weird to be looking at these already because we just finished Modern Horizon spoilers, and this it's super fresh. The wound is still open. It's like, oh wait, but guys, here's something else to look at now. So
it's definitely a little fatiguing.
Oh, fatigue is the exact best word I think to use for this. Like, the summer is the weirdest part of Magic releases because we usually get the supplemental product, we get a core set, and then we get Commander all within about 3 months of each other. And it's just, I mean, it's awesome. I'm not complaining, but it's just, Ben is right. Fatigue is the word to use here. But yeah, our first three cards were all Planeswalkers, and not just any Planeswalkers, they were CHANDRAS.
CHANDRAS, yep.
I said
multiple.
CHANDRAS. 3 CHANDRAS. So I've got them up on the screen here. Once again, we have a uncommon, a rare, and a mythic Chandra, and I'll read them off real quick here, and we'll talk about them. So first up, we have Chandra Novice Pyromancer. She's 3 in a red for Legendary Planeswalker Chandra, uncommon, 5 starting loyalty. She has a +1 ability to give elementals you control +2/+0 till the end of turn. -1, add 2 red mana with no restriction on what it's being used to cast. -2, Chandra Novice Pyromancer deals 2 damage to any targets. Rocco, how do you feel about the uncommon Chandra here?
Uncommon Chandra, it seems pretty weak.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion. I mean, when we draft, right, when you're playing limited, when you're drafting, she's going to be pretty awesome. She's going to be a good pick.
Sure.
But compared to War of the Spark, when we just saw all of these Planeswalkers with static abilities, when we just see an uncommon Chandra, just +1, -1, -2.
Yeah.
I mean, could have been like another effect, sure. But I think she's really cool, and she's going to go in a bunch of EDH decks, no matter what. So.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And then we've got Chandra Acolyte of Flame. She's the rare one. 1 red, 4 starting loyalty. Her 0, she has 2 zeros actually. The first one is put a loyalty on each red planeswalker you control. And then her other 0 is create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste and sacrifice them at the beginning of the next instant. It's interesting that they say sacrifice, not exile, like they sometimes do. And then her -2 is you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be exiled from your graveyard, then this turn exile it instead. So Ben, thoughts on the Acolyte of Flame?
So this one's weird, right? Because I feel like her -2, if we was printed in War of the Spark, her -2 would have been her static. Like, you could just do that once a turn.
Seriously?
I
thought
think
it'd be
okay, interesting. That's degenerate, but I'm okay.
Bold.
I think that might have been
Have you ever seen an ancestral recall? Like, let's be careful here, man.
True, but
never to be reprinted again.
Right.
That or the create 2/2 is like when you cast an instant or sorcery with 3 or less first time each turn, make something like that.
Okay, some reconfiguring. Yeah.
Just it's nice seeing some like red Planeswalker love, because if you look at the red Planeswalkers in the past, other than Chandra, Torch of Defiance that was in standard and mono red, it typically haven't seen as much love with loyalty, because if you're in green, you have like doubling season, and blue you have like proliferate, so it's nice in red to see that the loyalty thing where it's like,
okay,
cool,
sure,
red,
I'm with you.
play off for more red walkers.
Yeah,
just because a lot of them are glass cannons, where it's like, I either ritual or I just like cast an instant sorcery and call it a night.
Yeah, because we've seen doubling season like you mentioned. We've seen Spark double now in War of the Spark.
Yep.
So I'm definitely with you there to kind of have a little of those manipulations. That's a really cool point there. She's definitely the weirdest of the three. Yeah. By no means is the most powerful though, but she's the weirdest, I think. What were you saying?
I want to say she's the weakest.
Really? Okay.
Here's my thought process, right? So, if you're looking at Novice Pyromancer, her -2, if you assume that the 3 loyalty she has left over is gaining 3 life, she's almost like a Lightning Helix, right? Deal 3, gain 3, but it's deal 2, gain 3.
Okay, I'm with you.
If you want to look at it that way, right? And then you have the new red Force of Rage or whatever that makes the elementals.
Okay.
Doing something like that where you can plus her and then just bust out 2 hasty boys and swing in for, I think, for like 6 damage or 12 damage or something, like instantly.
Well,
I could see that.
So Force of Rage is so we're talking about modern here at this point, because
yes. Or EDH, I guess.
Yeah, so like we're talking, so it's 2 5/5s at that point. So you're dealing for for 10 there. So I can definitely see that.
But I think the fact that she adds the uncommon adds that, and then is just damage and then pseudo life gain. I think the uncommons just better in a vacuum.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, and there's the Jeskai Super Friends deck in standard right now that's playing as many walkers as possible, and then caps off with Sarkhan the Masterless to make them all dragons and just shoot you for like 20 in one shot. It's a really cool deck, and there are enough red walkers in that deck as well that I think there might be a place for Chandra here, and maybe have some way to use those. Maybe you play Acolyte of Flame, you activate her second 0, make some elementals, and then activate Sarkhan to make them all dragons at the same time, and you dash for like a ton of damage. But I can definitely
you can play
see
both.
Yeah, you can definitely play both. Yeah, sure, yeah.
So you can make 1/1s and then make them. So you get 3 1s with haste.
Yeah. Okay, so like mono Chandra then. So
yeah, I can get behind that. You could probably do like mono red Chandra.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I played Big Red back in standard when it was like Koth of the Hammer, which was like a really sick deck. But that's beside the point.
And then you have the new Chandra too, from War, which when a loyalty is removed from her.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I think mono, like you can just run like mono Chandra. Force of Rage is in standard.
Yeah. That card's bad anyway. I haven't gotten that.
Yeah. It'd be jank as shit.
I haven't gotten into the set review yet, but it's a bad card.
Anyways.
So let's ignore those other two and go on to the Mythic, because I had a weird moment when I was reading these Chandras. At first, I didn't know the uncommon one existed. I thought that the Acolyte of Flame flipped into the Awakened Inferno because of the way
that'd be so much cooler.
Yeah, the way that the images were laid out made it look like it was like 1 into 2, and I couldn't quite read the static ability on Awakened Inferno. So I'm thinking, oh, sweet, Chandra goes Super Saiyan here. That's not the case. Chandra Awakened Inferno is a 4 red mythic rare planeswalker, 6 starting loyalty with a static ability. So this is the first. So along with Liliana Dreadhorde General and God Dragon Nicobolus and Gideon, they're the only ones that have 3 abilities plus a static here. So she can't be countered as her static ability. Her +2 is each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you, scary. -3, Awakened Inferno deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. And her -X, she deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If its permanent is dealt damage this way, would die this turn, exile it instead.
Yep.
So Rocco, Awakened Inferno, what's your hot take?
I love it. I literally just read it right when you were reading it. Okay, first off, right off the bat, static ability, awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I'm going to be talking about tonight. I think static abilities are they're really cool, and I think Planeswalkers needed it just to stay up with the power level of all like modern creatures now.
Okay, sure.
Just to add in real fast, Karn's Bastion, by the way, is fantastic. Okay.
Oh, yeah, Planeswalkers, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
welcome to the choir. Welcome to Standard of Braga.
Preaching the choir.
Sorry, yeah.
Preaching the choir.
The +2 is really good. Each opponent gets an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep. This emblem deals 1 damage to you. I'm thinking of different like decks that you could play this in. Let's say you take extra combat turns, right? Or you want to go into
this is only the opponent's turn that it's happening on.
Oh.
That's kind of the trigger, which is so crazy about this, and the fact that it's giving it's +2 for an emblem, and typically the emblem is done on the ultimate, and it is a relatively game-ending effect. But this is scary. This is repeatable.
They printed this to counter Nexus. This is why this was printed.
To counter Nexus.
To counter Infinite or like
the
blue-white decks that stall. This is why this was printed, because they can't interact with it. Right? So they're not going to just constantly board wipe you and then be like to hero to fairy and then counter everything. It can't be countered, and then you can give it an emblem on the turn it comes out.
Yeah.
So they can't counter it. They have to leave up 4 mana for Vraska, and even if they do, you still get even if they exile
you still get the emblem. Yeah.
You get the emblem, yeah.
I have a feeling this was 100% printed to literally beat like Esper control and just very controlling decks that stall the board.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you there. Now, I do see this as a problem, though, because unless Wizards is going to undo sort of the unwritten rule that you cannot interact with emblems, this +2 ability is going to become a big problem in Standard. And something I'm going to highlight in my portion of the conversation tonight, I think this could be emblematic of a real problem in M20. If like this is sort of like the power level we're pushing, this is dangerous territory we're talking about here. Like,
I mean, if we look at it though, I mean, it is, but also you have to look that it is the earliest without like Morning Mana Rocks would be turn 5 or 6. To come out.
Yeah.
So. Which is why I think, like, well, yes, the emblem thing can be problematic. I don't think in aggro decks or anything you're going to play this. I think this is...
Oh, definitely not.
Typically to beat control decks if you're playing, like, Gruul mid-range or something.
Sure.
And I think once Dominaria and Ixalan rotate, and we don't have Vraska's Contempt anymore, and we don't have Teferi Hero of Dominaria in Standard, I think you can definitely see a switch to Jeskai with the new Teferi, the new Chandra, these Chandras... the other guy, the Super Friends, like, and switch the Super Friends shell to a more control shell.
Yeah.
And this being a win condition where you just protect her and just give it like 2, 3, 4 emblems, and then it's just enjoy not winning.
Yeah. And you know, and on the flip side of it, you know, it definitely feels like they're wanting to move away from games that just last forever, like the Teferi decks that just want to sit there, emblem Teferi, and then start exiling everything. They want the game to speed up. So I think your points about beating Nexus, beating control decks that just want to sit there and dirtle, I think are completely valid. I still just have to worry a little bit about what this is emblematic of moving forward for Magic, because a +2, like an emblem that dramatically impacts the board like this, even if it's a minor impact, is so... Like, it's seriously scary stuff. Like, the only Planeswalkers that have ever been able to pop an emblem the turn they come in are Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, Gideon of the Trials, and Sorin... the Sorin from Khans of
Not
Tarkir.
Grim Nexus, it's Sorin Markup, not
Markup, but the one from
I know I had him a Vampire EDH.
Yeah, the Khans of Tarkir Sorin that could make an emblem the turn he came into play. Yeah, for vampires only. And it's a one time. Oh, it's a consistent emblem actually. But this is pretty crazy stuff here.
I mean, it would be interesting if they were to balance it where like the emblem works if you have an elemental, because we're noticing a theme of elemental.
Ooh, I like that. Right? Yeah, make it conditional, sure.
So make it a conditional emblem like Sarah, the new Sarah from Modern Horizons, where it's you get an emblem pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why were you just waiting here, you thief?
And I can definitely see.
Hi. How you doing?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I think, without context of the rest of the set, these are very just powerful in general. The one thing that I do need to point out is that there are not going to be 3 ofs of all the other Planeswalkers. It's just Chandra. The rest of the walkers in this set will be 1 ofs. So, I was thinking there's going to be 3 Jaces, 3 Nissas. Awesome. That'd be stupid. That'd be stupid.
Bring back my Moigaruk. Bring back my Moigaruk.
No, man.
Maybe.
3 of Johnny. 3 of Johnny's.
No. But yeah, so Chandra's the only one that gets 3 Planeswalkers in this set, simply because this is the end of her journey, whatever that means. Maybe she dies. I don't know. So sad. And it's this is how they're going to keep killing off Planeswalkers to keep printing signature spellbooks.
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, right.
And I just realized Chandra Acolyte of Flame doesn't say on each other red Planeswalker you control, it's on each Planeswalker.
Ooh. So she has a plus ability in...
It's a +1 that isn't a +1.
Yeah.
Her +0 is the plus. Yeah,
that's some interesting templating right there. I wonder if there's a reason behind that. Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool. It's
All
good
right.
for counter matters decks.
Yeah.
But I like the mythic Chandra. Putting an EDH deck with Neheb, or a deck that needs to have Hazoret, nothing in hand, and then just burn spells.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
I mean, you can do it in 5-color walkers too, where you can if you flicker her a ton and just start give people infinite emblems, and then they just die on their upkeep.
So like a bunch of chain veil activations, then okay.
Anyways,
so coming soon
let's
to that episode, we'll be breaking these Planeswalkers individually for EDH. But let's move away from Chandra, and let's just talk about Planeswalkers in general. Recently, I posed the question on the Facebook page. If you don't already, go follow us on Facebook, EOT Newsflash. Whether or not the War of the Spark Planeswalkers had ruined Limited. And this was a question you kind of posed, Rocco, was, a couple weeks ago. We're talking about this, and, that's something I posed to a lot of the communities I'm a part of, and I got some really interesting answers, and it really boiled down to just a couple of different points. We have the power level of Planeswalkers, the complexity of these Planeswalkers, and the prevalency of these Planeswalkers that is being one in every pack. 36 walkers in War of the Spark, obviously. So what I've kind of engineered for us tonight, Rocco and I are going to debate a little bit, with Ben being our illustrious moderator, proctor person. He's at the stopwatch to make sure that we don't ramble on for too long. So basically, we're going to debate the Planeswalker problem. I'm going to play devil's advocate tonight. I am arguing against the Planeswalkers in War of the Spark, and Rocco is arguing for the walkers in War of the Spark. So I'm going to throw it to Ben to kind of set it up for us here, however you will, and then we'll launch into opening statements.
Yeah, so as Alex said, we're going to try to limit to about each response back and forth. And if you guys are okay with it, if I feel like someone's getting trounced on a particular point, I can jump in and try to give my 2 cents to kind of
or just award the win for that one person.
Or just
guy.
Be you win, you lose, suck it up, Buttercup. 50 DKP minus.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell. I'm ready.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
I don't have notes.
Amateur hour, bro. This ain't amateur hour.
Right, Rocco, tag me in, bro.
Okay, I'll tag you in. Wait, why am I not the mediator? I'll be a good mediator.
Because you wanted to argue for the walkers. This is what you wanted. I gave you what you wanted.
Yeah, I was going to
go up against some noob or a novice. I'm going up against a pro over here. I'm just
listen, okay. if you want to switch last minute, I'm down for that. All right, if you want to shake it up, all right.
It's fine. It's fine. That'll be fun.
They're just going to go over each point, and Alex has a list of the points that we're going to be talking about.
Yep. Power level, complexity, and prevalency of walkers here. Yeah.
So we're going to try to keep it very concise, and then what we'll do at the end is we can kind of, once we finish up, we can spend 10-15 minutes. You guys are up for it. Just kind of having an open discussion about everything, how we actually feel if you're playing devil's advocate in this case, and just kind of give our general thoughts. Because I know at least I've done a couple drafts on Arena and in person, and I've watched videos and stuff. So it's I think we can all just kind of give our opinion at the very end.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
kind of wrap it up like that.
Yeah, so I'll throw it. We can throw it to Rocco. We can give Rocco opening remarks to go first, and then I'll back clean up on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, Rocco.
General
Prevalence, right?
thoughts.
Is the first one?
Yeah. Well,
Prevalence
let's
is the
just open just your general thoughts on Planeswalkers in general.
Oh, that's easy. Okay. All right. Planeswalkers in general, I hated them. I hated seeing them in any format, and then I started playing War of the Spark, and when War of the Spark came out, I was like, Planeswalkers, and I started playing with them, and they're only broken if somehow everybody at the table just drafted all 10 Planeswalkers or whatever, like those kids that just pass like, ooh, this is a Wat Lee, I'm not going to use this. Pass it to the next guy, and the guy has like 16 Planeswalkers on the field. That's when it gets pretty broken, Alex.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Other than that, these Planeswalkers are really cool. The static abilities are my favorite part of these Planeswalkers. They're not broken by themselves, other than like Narset, whatever. Once you put all of them together, then that's how they become super powerful. Or if you have that field, if you have that state, and then you just drop a Planeswalker down, then you're just putting the icing on the cake. But they're super easy to get rid of. You can burn them. You can do all these different things. And they have enough, Planeswalker hatred within these different sets to get rid of the Planeswalkers. That's not really a problem in my eyes. But yes, I'm for Planeswalkers. The static abilities are my favorite part. Yeah, I'll pass it to you, Alex.
All right, so here's my thing on Planeswalkers. So Planeswalkers have been around for a little over 10 years. They were first introduced into Lorwyn, and we had the original Lorwyn 5. And the one thing that Magic has always been missing up until that set was iconic characters to put on the face of packs. Ask any new player who's been starting to play in the past, let's say, 5 years, and say, who's your favorite character in Magic? And they're going to tell you, oh, it's Jace. Oh, it's Sorin. These are all Planeswalkers here. Johnny, whoever it is, they're going to tell you a Planeswalker. Not, oh, my favorite character is Snapcaster Mage. Like, that's not a thing. So,
Gary.
These are they're not your favorite characters, and so we have to remember that Magic is a brand. It's an IP. They need these face characters, and Wizards had a pretty good handle on the Planeswalkers until 2010 when they printed Jace the Mind Sculptor. And here's where the problem starts. Over the next 9 years, there were 7 Planeswalkers that completely ruined Standard. Jace the Mind Sculptor, Elspeth's Champion, Ugin, Jace Vryn's Prodigy, Gideon Alexandakar, Saheeli Rai, and Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, all single-handedly have in some form or fashion ruined Standard. Now, we're not talking about Standard tonight, we're talking about Limited, but where do those packs start? Packs are meant to be drafted, and the last thing you want to have happen is your opponent playing Dominaria draft, the board's kind of clogged up, and all of a sudden they play Teferi. It's game over. Or they played Elspeth in Theros draft. Completely unbeatable cards. Completely ruining the standard formats they were in, requiring decks to become so homogenized and inbred to fight these threats, and it all trickles back down to Limited. And when you've got those 7 Planeswalkers I just mentioned, plus 36 in a set, you completely up in the power level of Standard. Look at these Standard decks right now. Return to the Dreadhorde decks, returning Nisses, Tamios. Like, the power level is high, but it's all at the end of the day, it's always impacting your drafts when you don't open a good Planeswalker. I only open an uncommon Planeswalker, and my opponents open Liliana. It's not fair, and it's not fun. So
that's true.
That's my opening bit on these Planeswalkers here. So that's that's also my segue into the power level because they ruin drafts. Flat out, they ruin drafts. So
the draft,
Yeah. So kind of
I won't argue right now, but
So counterpoint to you, Rocco. Power level. Is the power level of these Planeswalkers in Limited? Is it fair? Is it okay?
I mean, it just depends. Because I know what you're trying to say, right? And if you pull like a Nissa, you pull, a Liliana, you probably, if you even before that, you'll probably even win the game, But the thing is, there's plenty of ways to get rid of these Planeswalkers.
But
and
are there?
only a few? What?
But are there? How many spells in War of the Spark Limited are able to deal with a Planeswalker directly?
Okay, well, maybe not directly, but there's ways to get past them. Or
Okay,
get to
you can
them,
attack them, but like,
right?
how
I
many
mean, you can
spells
get
in
past
War of the Spark actually do it?
Let me grab my notes. I have no idea. Probably like 50. I have no idea.
No, there's 5
But
or 6.
I know there's not enough.
There's
right?
not enough, not even close to enough.
But the thing is, their power levels. I mean, if you drop down a Kaya, right, and she starts at like what 7 or something.
Yeah, she's
that's
insane.
totally different. But when you start like, if you have an uncommon versus a rare, that's when it gets into that part of it. The statistics of opening up a rare versus an uncommon Planeswalker, and then that limiting your chances on winning. But the power level, you can easily get past that if you have the right blockers, if you have the right strategy to go up against Planeswalkers, because we all go into War of the Spark like, okay, we know that somebody's going to pull a Planeswalker no matter what. And they're either going to hate draft it or they're going to draft it right off the bat. And
play
when
5
you
colors.
go in like that, you're going to go like, okay, well, I need to get rid of that Planeswalker. So what do? I need to build a wall around it. Right? Walls. Tribal. The thing is, you have cards that can fly. You have Aven Eternals. You have Death Touch. You have different spells. But power level wise, I feel like they're all pretty even, other than a couple of them that were pretty, Nissa,
Busted.
Yeah.
Nissa,
the card,
Liliana, Ugin.
Tamio. I mean, even Kiora. Okay, Kiora starts at like a 7, right? But to -1 to untap, to let's say you want to untap a Karn's Bastion to tap again, it
pretty
gets
good.
pretty wacky, right? But their power levels are pretty easy to get past if you have the right strategy going into the game that you need to get rid of Planeswalkers.
Yeah. All right.
If that makes sense.
Let's have a Alex rebuttal here.
Yeah, so I have to disagree completely on that. Like I mentioned, there's only a handful of cards in War of the Spark that directly deal with a Planeswalker. And if you're of the mind that you're going to go into a draft to not only draft your own Planeswalkers, but also draft such that you can counter other players' Planeswalkers, you just end up in these board states where nobody's making any hedges, and the only saving grace is the fact that these walkers don't have any plus abilities to continue going up. Mm-hmm. But if you've got the right deck built around it, it's not going to matter. Like, I had a 5-color Planeswalker deck that was able to proliferate over and over and over, thanks to Karn's Bastion, and just consistently use my Planeswalker's abilities. It didn't matter what my opponent did. They could amass all the creatures they want. I was doing the same thing, and we just sat there until I just ground them out with a card advantage, and they just couldn't handle it. So, and if you don't open those cards either, or if somebody else takes the cards that you needed to hate those Planeswalkers out, like, there's no winning battle there. It's an uphill battle that you're not going to win, and you usually don't.
I think it just depends, right? Because then that goes into the idea that it really matters what you draft and what that person to the left and to the right of you drafts.
Yeah,
right? Does that
but you
make
can't
sense?
control
you
that.
You can't just go into the draft like, oh, I'm going to grab every single uncommon in the set and then I'm a win. Right? You automatically, by sitting down at the table, are like, okay, I just saw a rare Nissa. I'm going to play the Nissa, and then you're going to draft around that card. Right? Unless you're cool like you and you draw, you get all 5 colors and then everybody just passes you every single good card. But
I mean, when you're in 5 colors, every card is good.
Yeah, I just think it depends on
the
ideology behind it. Because if you go into it thinking that you're going to get all 5 Planeswalkers, you're probably going to get mistaken.
Oh yeah, well, I never planned to do that. I just draft what's open and available to me. But like the point still stands. Like if you don't have the ability to defeat the Planeswalkers, you're not going to win.
Oh no. Okay. But power level wise, you can still get rid of a Planeswalker, right?
Sure, if you can draft it, if you can build the right deck and beat their own cards.
All right, good job. He explained how I explained it. Nice.
Point to Rocco.
Point to Rocco.
I don't know about that. All right, let's move it on to complexity. Let's talk about complexity here. And I'll kind of leave this one up because as I was looking at all of the Planeswalkers that are in War of the Spark, they do a million different things. Some of them add mana. Some of them make creatures. Some of them tax the spells that you're casting, that opponents are casting into you. Some of them get past hexproof. And I looked at this from like the perspective of a new player. I kept hearing people say, "Oh, War of the Spark is the set to come into if you're a brand new player." But it's a disaster. Like, you open this pack, you look at all these cards, and you're like, "What the heck is this Planeswalker?" Like, to illustrate the point, I had a buddy who started playing Magic right about a year after I did. So this is about 2012, 13. He sent me a text saying, "Hey, Alex, I don't understand Planeswalkers." It took me 15 texts to explain how they work to him. 15 texts to explain how to make a Planeswalker work. And for a new player sitting down with a set, looking at these Planeswalkers, not really understanding what they do, how they actually function, and then just having 36 in a set, like, it's such an overwhelming thing to get over. It's a learning curve that is almost insurmountable for your average player. You know, up until this point, we've never had a set where you saw this many Planeswalkers. Like, if you had one in a draft, you were lucky because you opened a mythic rare, and everyone's like, ooh, ah, but now everybody's got them. You're having to track all of these ridiculous static abilities. Oh, my creatures have menace right now. Oh, you can't draw extra cards this turn. Like, who's keeping track of all of this, and why did they do this? This isn't Modern Horizons.
Rocco, counterpoint?
Yeah.
I'm not wrong.
No, I mean, it's definitely true, right? Because I came in right at Ravnica Allegiance, right? And when I first heard the news that there's going to be a poop ton of Planeswalkers, right? 36 of them, I'm like, wait, that's a lot of Planeswalkers. And I didn't like Planeswalkers. But then when you start reading it, when you read a card, it explains the card, right? But to a new player, if I sat down, wore the Spark, like pre-release, and I grabbed like a Liliana, I'd be like, what am I doing? Right? Because you look at it and you see +1s, -1s, things like that, and you're just like,
static
I don't
abilities
understand
too.
the concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You proved my point. That's exactly right.
Right? But what you can do is, if you are a new player, right, you can always put, like, let's say a token, right? Not like a token like a card, but you could put like a Pokemon chip, or I don't know, a little marble on top of the card, so you can remember that effect happens at a certain rate, right? And so you can make sure you have in your mind like a stack. The complexity is high up there, right? And it's not like a beginner's set. They might advertise it as a beginner's set, but it's not, right? It takes time to get used to all these cards. And it's super difficult to argue up against Alex, because I'm like, oh yeah, dude, super complex. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is complex. But when you start to sit back and think about it, when you know that you have to have this certain mana cost, when you know that they have loyalty points, and you know that the loyalty points can either be added onto or subtracted off of, and sometimes like the new Chandra, just plus for 0, right? When you start realizing that, and then you understand how the stack ends up working on the field, then it's easier to understand the Planeswalker itself.
But that's true of any Magic card. But the problem is, like, you can attack them, you can defend them, you can have loyalty taken off of them by other spells. Like, there's so much complexity that goes into this set. Like, Soul Diviner is an incredibly powerful Magic card if you have a bunch of Planeswalkers, because it takes the counters off of them. It takes their loyalty away. No other card has ever done that, to directly to interact with the counters on a Planeswalker to get a benefit out of it. Like Vampire Hexmage, that blows counters off of walkers, but no card is ever taking cards off of a walker to get a benefit. Like,
and then you see Elder Spell pop up out of nowhere.
Elder Spell's a great example. I kill your Planeswalkers and I add them.
Are you arguing for or against walkers? Because now I'm really confused.
Yeah. I'm gonna move your camera view over on my side, because this is becoming very one-sided.
Listen, do you mind if I jump in? Or do you want
Ben, by all means, yeah. Let's
table
this.
So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here for Rocco for a little bit. So Alex definitely made some good points. The complexity is, I can definitely see that as an issue for a new player where you have static abilities, and putting something on them. Definitely, a newer player doesn't do that. I've been playing for. And I just recently was like, oh, yes, I saw someone put a dice on top for upkeep triggers.
Yeah.
If you're a new player, that's not intuitive to you.
Exactly.
That's first thing. In terms of power level, this is, I think, where I have the biggest disagreement with you, Alex.
Okay.
opening a rare Planeswalker is like opening a rare enchantment that's easier to remove than enchantments. Look at Ethereal Absolution in the past set. That's a bomb rare, right?
Yeah.
Sorin, the new Sorin, I thought, just because he's an Orzhov, that's why I'm thinking of him, and he's blown me out in games.
Sure.
Is the same thing. If you look at rare walkers, they're, in my opinion, they're worse than just rare enchantments that you get, because enchantment removal in a set is usually color specific.
Yeah.
If you're playing aggro, you can't beat an enchantment to death.
True.
The static abilities on them aren't generally super impressive. You have Narset, but in draft, in the limited format, how often, unless you're in blue, do you
very often, in my perspective, as that abilities come
See,
up.
And it could just be how I'm playing. I haven't had an issue if a Narset comes out where I'm like, in constructed, yes, but in limited, very seldom am I like.
Okay, sure.
But so I mean, I think the power level of the rares are good because they're rare cards.
Well,
right?
sure. Like rares need to be good, mythics need to be good, uncommons need to be moderately good. My whole problem is just like the vast variety of things. The variety of things that these planeswalkers can do, and the relatively limited number of answers for them creates a very divisive format if you're not ready for the person who knows what they're doing, who has the complexity understood and mastered. There's no winning solution to that puzzle, unfortunately.
But how is that any different? How is this any different than other formats, though? I mean, if you look at guilds, and that was an easier. The past like 2 formats have been a lot easier to draft.
Yeah, very
just
simple,
because you draft guilds.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're comparing this set to the last 2, this is a much more difficult set to draft.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going back to like Dominaria, Core 19, those sets, when they're not set archetypes, are still harder draft sets. So to say that this is a complex set, and most limited is a hard format because you have to go with what you get. So I definitely agree. Like Planeswalkers might not help. It for a newer player, they're going to struggle in regardless, and even players who've been playing for 2-3 years. Limited is still just a hard format, and I think while Planeswalkers add to the complexity, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think people still enjoy getting them. Newer players who've played in the past year are like, oh, dude, a walker. These things are so rare. Like, let me play that. Like, I think for a lot of newer players, it's an interesting thing to get because you don't see them often. But
absolutely
I think,
right.
As you're someone who's played for so long,
I'm just jaded.
You have Planewalker fatigue is what it is, and that's fine. That's not. I'm not saying you're bad for that. It's we have Elfbats who give you protection for you can't cast certain colors. You're like, what the? In a standard format, that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was like Theros or something.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
Elspeth, Sun Champion.
So that was the one that made tokens, blew up all things power 4 or greater, and then made everything fly +2/+2.
That's right. I'm thinking of the other.
You're thinking of Iona, Shield of Emeria.
That's right. Okay. But yeah, Jace the Mind Sculpt. Those walkers, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. And yeah, those cards unfortunately do shape formats, but I feel that's no different than Ramunap Ruins.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but now we're comparing apples to oranges. We're comparing Planeswalkers to lands. Like, I totally get where you're coming from, and I'm going to drop the devil's advocate as soon as we're done here, because this is obviously not how I feel about Planeswalkers. So I do have to asterisk that.
So, but anyways, that's I just wanted to get in there real quick and try to.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But let's go to the last point here, and that's the prevalency of these Planeswalkers. There's 36 in this set. When they first announced that, I lost my mind because I'm trying to figure out how do they do this? Are they all mythic rares? Are they, how do they template them? And obviously we've seen how they ended up doing that. Static abilities, uncommons, rares, different ability configurations. But the problem with one in every single pack is it compounds so quickly. Like we roll back the clock to Dominaria, where you have a legendary in every pack. That's no big deal. Legendaries are legendaries for they're all creatures, very very different. But to have a Planeswalker in every single pack You open that, and it goes back to the complexity issue again, and it goes back to the power. Like this is the point that really ties the whole thing together for me. The new player opens the pack, they see that, they go, "Ooh, Planeswalker! Oh, do I take this? What do I do with this?" And every pack they open another one. They're like, "Oh my gosh, there's another one. What do I do with these?" And so it just creates this like almost fatigue aspect where you're constantly seeing them like, what do I do with these? And the fact that you're going to see a majority of them relatively often, like almost in every draft I've done, I've always seen at least one Vraska, I've seen at least one Angrath, they pop up often enough as uncommons that it becomes a bit tedious almost. I can't guarantee that I'll always see the same uncommon creatures or enchantments or removal spells in the same draft, but these Planeswalkers are just constantly popping up. They're so prevalent. I get fatigued seeing these walkers, and after a while I'm just like, I don't want to see another Domri. I don't want to see another Vraska or a Kiora. Like, just show me a creature instead. I'm bored.
Yeah, Rocco?
Yeah, so I understand what you're saying. I understand that there's a lot of Planeswalkers, but when you have a Planeswalker like Vraska, when you have one that's like Kiora, you can build around them. And when you build around a Planeswalker, it's more concise. It's more optimized and more focused to do what you're trying to do, especially in limited, right? If you're playing Kiora, you're probably just going to use your -1. You're probably not going to do the static ability to draw a card off of.
Then why did you draft it? Why did you draft it
exactly.
then?
Well, if they want to do the -1 ability to untap a target permanent, and then they want to, I don't know, do an ability for that. The thing is, these Planeswalkers, there's so many of them, and it's kind of like Dominaria, right? Legendary in each pack. But it's an excuse for newer players to end up getting cards that are powerful enough for them to make an actual impact if they do try going to modern, try going to standard. It allows the newer players a chance to actually play at the same power level as players have been playing since 2013, since way before that, right?
That's an interesting
so that's
point.
like with one thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes sense. But then, yeah, I mean, you're going to see the Angraths, you're going to see the Cures, you're going to see the kids that want to pull Liliana and be like, oh, I'm +1, and look, I have Dread Horde, and look, and I'm going to play like Death Touch and Life Gain. It's really cool. But you get to see that creativity, that the creative side that Wizards is always trying to get at. And when you finally get that creativity, especially in War of the Spark, which, I mean, you're playing 5-colored Planeswalkers. In what set can you ever play 5-color Planeswalkers?
Never.
Right? None. Unless you're like EDH and, you're really cool. But it's just the creativity when they brought out the Planeswalkers and people were like, holy crap, there's 36 Planeswalkers. Are they a land? Is it going to be in the land spot? Are we not going to have lands? Are we going to have like no tokens? Are we going to have mythics? When people started getting hyped up on it and it's finally like, what's going to happen? And then we all started drafting. We're like, holy crap, like I can play with this Planeswalker. And if she's like hybrid Saheeli, then I can just play straight mono blue and I can still use Saheeli to allow me to pressure my opponent.
Yeah.
So it's really cool and it offers a lot of creativity. Is there too many of them? Probably. Could they have like gotten rid of all the common cards? Probably. But
got rid of the commons really cool. In this set? What are you talking?
Only uncommons, no commons. Everything's
uncommon, rares, and mythics. Yeah. Great. There's only 5 cards in the pack.
Every pack is a mythic rare, and then all the commons are commons, and then all the uncommons are rares.
Jesus.
Where's my check? Wizard, where's my check?
Okay, point to Rocco.
Mythic in every pack.
Please.
That'd be amazing. I would go, but other than that,
yeah. So,
all right.
Like, I would definitely say points to everybody here. Like, this is not a debate that is winnable. I don't think. Like
Ben just ruined my team's efforts of winning.
What? I demolished him. All right.
You know, Wrath of Kaya. Oh, that's a really good card. It's not as good as Kaya the Planeswalker. Oh.
Yeah, because it doesn't kill Kaya the Planeswalker.
Exactly.
Anyway.
It's such a good card.
Anyway, so I did want to play devil's advocate here because I looked at this as a challenge. Like, how do I argue against what is my favorite card type in all of Magic.
So funny enough, I actually was also playing Devil's Advocate for my point.
Oh, I figured as much. Yeah, like I mean, some of my favorite cards I've ever played are Planeswalkers: Jace the Mind Sculptor, Teferi, Tezzeret Agent of Bolas, Liliana of the Veil. I freaking love Planeswalkers. My favorite decks in all formats have revolved around Planeswalkers. I love drafting the Planeswalkers in this set. Like, we keep joking about the 5-color Planeswalker deck that I built. It's insane. It's the sickest thing ever. Like, I love Planeswalkers. I love how complex they are. I love that the intricate game states that you get into where you have to figure out, like, how do I interact with all these walkers and keep my walkers in check with theirs and their creature. Like, it's the best puzzle to play, and it is the single most War of the Spark, bar none, is the single most skill rewarding and skill testing limited format that they've done since I've been playing Magic. That's over 10 years. I've never had more fun playing limited Magic.
Yeah, this
That's
is definitely
simple.
This is definitely a fun format.
I think I just won.
It's definitely a fun format. I think my main complaint about the walkers is because they had to force so many.
Yeah.
To have some where you're like,
probably one.
Hey, no, like cut them back, or just don't put one in every single pack. Like, you have Nahiri.
Nahiri's awesome.
Yes.
Nahiri's awesome.
The static's but
it doesn't matter. She's still removal.
That's
yeah, she's removal. Like, even Tybalt is
fair.
good. Davero, like all the Planeswalkers. Watley's insane in the right deck.
I haven't seen her played at all. It could just be like the decks that on Arena, which.
Oh no, you've not worried about Hawaii until someone's gone turn 1 Arboreal Grazer, the 0/3 that drops a land in play, followed up by another land on turn 2, and all of a sudden that Huatli is letting that Grazer bash for 3 on turn 2.
That's gross.
That's gross. That's powerful Magic.
You ready? You play Watley in an Arcades Strategist deck, and you just have Vigilant Walls and stuff. And
we're not talking about EDH here, Rock. We're talking about limited.
Or constructed.
Yeah.
Because Arcades is limited.
Oh, that's true, yeah. But like standard. All of the Planeswalkers have a place in this limited format. Like, even Tybalt is completely playable.
Tybalt, I find, is actually pretty
he's good. Tybalt is good in this format. He's very good.
But yeah, fun. I think it's definitely fun. I'm fatigued a little bit on.
I am too. I will definitely agree with you there.
It feels like a gamble. Like most limited formats do, obviously.
Yeah.
But especially with these, where you just have some that are uncommon, that are they are powerful. You are right. Like, they're like,
point for Alex.
Ashiok, for example. If you can build like a people out.
Oh yeah, Ashiok's far too good for limited for her uncommon status, or its uncommon status.
Yeah. So there are just definitely some where you're like, oh, I have 6 rares instead of 3 rares.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest problem that I think War of the Spark had, and if you played in a pre-release, I think you saw this in full effect, was both of my pre-releases I played in, I opened a single rare walker across 2 pre-releases. Granted, it was a Liliana, which was very powerful, obviously, but that was still, let's see, because there's 7 in each set because of the pre-release promo. So that was 13 uncommon Planeswalkers that I opened, and I played less than half of them. And I played against people who had 5 rare walkers in their decks. And that's where things get a little unfair. That's where the power level becomes truly prevalent in limited, because limited is a sealed is a crapshoot of a format because it's just a gamble. At least when I draft, I have a control element over what I'm actually pulling.
Yeah, you can choose.
But for sealed, I think, as much as I love War Draft, I hate War Sealed. I would, if it was offered for like a PPTQ or whatever they're calling the Mythic qualifiers now, I wouldn't do it just because of just how lopsided those things can get.
Because if you get a good rare and a good rare walker in your pre-release kit, and then you get all walkers.
Yeah, I played against a guy at the pre-release who had 2 Ajani's, a Sorin, and an Ugin. Like, I'm not winning that game. There's just no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, Sorin, I think is
underestimated walker. Yeah.
No, I think he's bar none one of the best rare walkers in the set.
Oh, easily. Yeah, he's very, very powerful. Yeah.
I think just in limited, his +2, it's a +2 that drains you for 1.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I guess good. I have another ill-gotten
inheritance. Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, more life because you have to spend like 8 damage to kill him.
Yep.
Or you have to like.
Or Prison Realm it or some. Yeah, the removal's the other half of it. Like, you've got to draft the removal. You know, frankly, you've got like Sarkhan's Catharsis. You've got Spark Harvest, you have Prison Realm. Like, there's ways of doing it, but, you know, the savvy drafters will go after those quite heavily and then sort of fill in the gaps around that, which can leave some players in the draft to just be up a creek and have 0 way of interacting, which, you know, it happens. You know, rares are rare for a reason, they're powerful for a reason, and so are the uncommon Mythic Walkers, you know. Like, The nitpicks I have with War of the Spark Limited and the Planeswalkers in it are so few and far between that there's nothing they can do to make me mad about the set.
I think most of the rares are pretty well balanced. I think.
Oh yeah.
Liliana, Gideon are they're mythic, so they need to be bombs.
Yeah.
Nikki B isn't really playable.
No. And truth be told, like, Gideon on balance is significantly weaker than he looks. He is very easy to deal with. Liliana's complete in a class all of her own. Like,
yeah, but I think the rare ones that I think a lot of the rares are balanced. Like Johnny, like when I did, you need a board state for them.
Yeah.
Saheeli, you need to invest in spells and in limited. If she dies, then you're like, all right, well, I have like 1 spell Saheeli, and you're like, all right, great. So I think they're very well balanced in terms of the rares and the minus like Ashiok and Narset, who are just
they're blue cards. Like for a 36-way balancing act that Wizards had to pull off here, I would give them probably like an A-, like all told. Like they did a good job at it. I think just bar none.
Now, do we want to talk about like? Oh, Rocco, do you have anything to add? Because
Final thoughts on Planeswalkers here, obviously, for you, Rocco.
I'll put it this way: it doesn't matter if you're a new player or an old player. These Planeswalkers are a good bang for your buck, because literally, you can open up 1 pack of War of the Spark, and make your entire money back off of an uncommon Planeswalker.
Wait,
if it's Narset, if it's Narset.
Are you saying that Narset's worth $4?
I would say. If you can play
Narset, checking right the fuck now. I'm sorry.
Pretty sure there's no way that Narset is a $4 Planeswalker.
If Narset can be played in Vintage, if she can be played in Legacy, if she can be played in all of these,
she's $4. She's $3.86.
Okay. I stand corrected. Okay.
LOL.
Another point for Rocco.
Okay, all right, fair.
But, right, you know what I'm saying? It's these cards, even though you might, of course, everything's a gamble, right? It even says on the pack, it's a gamble. You're going to pay $4. You don't know if you're going to get the money out of it. But if you can go into a draft and you pull a Tamiyo, right? If you pull any card that's actually playable in any other format of Magic, you'll make your money back. So I think it's a really good set. And War of the Spark, I love Amonkhet, but War of the Spark is probably like the best set I've ever played. So, yeah.
I would like to point out that Narset is more expensive than half the rare walkers set.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's
also, can they stop
Narset, so.
Can they stop printing good Teferis for like 1 year? Like 1 year. Like listen, we understand Teferi's good, okay? But we don't need 3 good Teferis, all right?
Wait, 3 good Teferis? There's only 2 in Standard right now.
Not in Standard. I mean in general.
Oh, in general. Okay. Yeah. The mono blue one's pretty ridiculous. Yeah.
The new one's also like
pretty good.
Oh, he blew me out in draft on Arena. I was tilted. I was holding up counter spells and he had Teferi out. I'm like, why couldn't you resolve your spells? I don't know, Ben. Like, what's they just?
Hey, my name's Alex. I play. Yep.
RTC, read the card.
Hey, you're not talking about burn. You're cool.
So do we want to just talk about core 20? and like how we feel about the Chandras coming in and like the walkers, the fact that they're putting walkers in this set.
Well, I mean, they were going to put Planeswalkers in Core 20 regardless. Like that's a given.
Yeah. I thought there was only 3 in M20. They said it was just Chandra.
Well, it's the 3 Chandras, and then you have
15 walkers, right?
Well, no, it's not 15 walkers. Your only Chandra is getting the 3-card treatments.
So it's 12 walkers, 3 Chandra, then 12 others.
No, not even 12. Your average core set has 5 Planeswalkers in it.
Oh, I don't know why. I thought someone said 15. I might have missed.
No, yeah. So at most, we're going to see 7 Planeswalkers in this set. The 3 Chandras and then the 4 other monocolored Planeswalkers.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to get like Nissa? You think we're gonna get the old Gatewatch, or do you think they're gonna go like?
I truly don't know what they're gonna do with it, which is why I hate when Wizards they posted those spoilers of Nissa or Chandra without any context, and everyone was like, obviously, well, there's obviously gonna be 3 Planeswalkers of each character in this set, which obviously isn't the case now. So like to make any kind of conjecture to say what we're going to see, they already shook it up with Core 19 by putting a Johnny, Vivian, Sarkhan, Tezzeret, and who was our Black Walker for that? Liliana. Like they mixed it up a little bit in 19, but now that the Gatewatch has been shaken up by the effect that by the results of I almost said Endgame, but War of the Spark. I don't know who they're gonna put in the set now. Like it's gonna be interesting.
I'd be willing to put $10
$10
that they're going to do the original Lorwyn Walkers.
That'd be cool.
Monocolor Lorwyn Walkers, Lily, Jace, Chandra, Johnny, Garruk.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Yeah. Although Garruk's kind of hard to do now because he's pretty black. Like in a color identity sense.
I know what you meant.
He's pretty black.
but if they're doing his story, maybe they'll do something they did with or something.
Yeah.
Because it's a core set, so they can get away with it.
Yeah, my only other really kind of I'm not sure if it's a gripe yet. I need to see this set and actually kind of get some context on this. We've already seen a young Chandra. We saw the flip Chandra from Magic Origins, who turned into Chandra, the Roaring Blaze or whatever, and that's like young
Chandra.
But we've already seen a young version of Chandra, so I'm just trying to figure out where in the story does this fit. And you're right, it's a core set. They can do whatever the hell they want with the core set story. It's just it's kind of weird. I don't know what they're doing.
I'm thinking it might be a flashback set, the War of the Spark's over, and now it's kind of like a flashbacky set where it's like
see where we went.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This is how we got here.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that talking about the original Gatewatch, which you have younger and Lily and younger, and how not kids because those were what they were in those, but
sure, okay.
The intermediary of walkers.
I get behind that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean we won't have to wait very many weeks. I mean it's right around the corner, so. We will be finding out very, very soon just what the heck is going on with Core 2020, and they're already changing up a lot of the stuff they're doing for stores anyway. So it's going to be interesting what we're going to get over the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited because I know I'm doing all the pre-releases and buying the box. So.
I mean, why would you not? Yeah. So I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Going for a solid hour here. Lots of interesting conversation. Lots of really good points by everybody here. Definitely there is no one right answer to solve Planeswalkers. They've been doing this for well over 10 years now, and I think they're going to keep evolving and changing the formula for Planeswalkers. And so I don't think, with uncommon Planeswalkers, I don't think this is the last time that we'll see something that turns the formula this, sort of topsy-turvy here. So
I definitely think the best formula is what they did in War of the Spark. I think that's the best formula they've had. The static ability on all the walkers, the minus, the plus minus ult. I think that is the most balanced version of it. And I think if they were to release 2 or 3 uncommon walkers, and then 2 or 3 rares, and then 1 mythic, I think the static ability. Sorry, I forgot. I know we're going over time, but I think the static ability on all the walkers, I think, is a great way to treat them as enchantments.
Yeah, and kind of too, and I'll make one more point before we wrap up for the night. So the Planeswalker formula up until War of the Spark had gotten relatively stale. most of them were a plus, a minus, and an ultimate, quote unquote. Usually the plus ability was some sort of protection for the walker itself.
Or card advantage.
Or card advantage, yeah. -2 was usually some sort of a removal or, something to keep itself protected.
Synergy.
And then the minus, the last ability, the big minus ultimate was usually sort of game-ending effect here. And that's been pretty par for the course up through, except for like the Garrick, the cursed, the flip Garrick. Very few, deviations from that
Gideons.
sort of. Yeah, the Gideons have been a little bit different here and there. But yeah, very little deviation here. And so to see Wizards, I don't know how long they've been developing these walkers for uncommons. It's obviously been for a while, but for them to hit it this hard out of the park, with as many as they had to make for one set, I definitely think they're on to the next step in what a Planeswalker can be, and I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I would love to see more flip walkers.
Oh hell yes! Oh yes!
I would love to see uncommon. I think
whoa! Hold on.
Jeez,
uncommon flip.
Even I.
I would love.
No way.
What set was it? Innistrad or something had a flip card in every pack. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, but most of those were commons.
That's like a flip a werewolf into an Eldrazi werewolf. That's a 3/3 that you would have to.
I'm not saying make it busted, but it would be cool to see a flip walk.
I'm gonna flip Jace. I'm gonna flip my deck upside down. I automatically win the game.
Well, I said uncommon. Relax. All right. Give me like an Omnixless effect on like a creature that.
Here, I'll give you one. Uncommon Jace.
Oh
you
my
plus
god.
1, you draw 20 cards. You -1.
All right. That's
Rocco's
enough.
Fired.
That's
all right.
I'm gonna cut you guys off. Last call. All right.
Oh god.
So.
I didn't mean to. He told me to.
Oh my god.
Right. Jace told you to do it. Just draw all your cards. It's okay, he says. So,
Jace, where are you?
Big thank you to Ben and Rocco coming out, hanging out with me tonight. We will be back next week with who knows what's going to happen. At the rate that Wizards is pulling the curtain off of things, we might see the full spoiler for Commander 19 next week. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
I'm gonna do a quick shill. twitchtv.com/Yetis. I try to stream.
Oh yeah. I'm always up for self-aggrandizing.
Oh, absolutely. I stream League of Legends Escape from Tarkov, MTG Arena, Slay the Spire, variety. Just come join me, check me out.
There you go.
He plays LOL.
There you go.
He plays LOL.
Platform, baby.
All right. So, also coming up this week, the Black and Red set review for Modern Horizons will be going up tomorrow night. I'll be taking care of that. And then hopefully the rest of this will go up on Saturday, I think. I don't know. And also, Commander in the Dungeon episode 2 coming to a screen near you soon. I keep teasing it, and I know... But it's coming. I promise that. So it's gonna be the three of us and Chris again. We're having a good time. It's gonna be awesome. So be on the lookout for that.
Have we spoiled what the theme is yet?
Nope.
No question.
Great.
Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
I'll talk to you later about it.
Nope. So before anybody spoils it, thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with us tonight, guys. Again, big thank you to Rocco and to Ben. Twitch.tv/Yetis. YETIZ?
Yep, Yeti with a Z at the end.
Yeti with a Z. All right. Go check him out. Of course, check us out over on Facebook and YouTube. Just type in EOT Newsflash into your search engine of choice, and you'll find some content that we have done. Like, share, and subscribe.
It's TASUMAN. It's Tasuman, not Yetis. My bad. It's my.
Wow. Gosh.
I'm an awful shill.
I can only link so many things in the show notes, but all right.
It's TASUMAN should be the actual.
All right. You can go look at that one if you want to. You don't have to.
My bad.
Newsflash. Don't worry about Salmoon, I don't know, and ramen noodle Yetis over there, okay?
Oh,
all right. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight, guys. Have an excellent night. More shenanigans to come. Later.